Well, we're excited to have this conversation. Definitely some big minds on this topic. I don't know if you guys were here for Jeff's presentation, but it really presented the best and the worst of what could happen in the future. So I think it's really on topic. We've seen the Memecoin craze in the AI agent space, and I feel like we're at the end of the excitement for that. So now, what is next? Do we see a transition from the meme coins to actually more purpose-driven AI use cases? Are we seeing that, and how has that affected investor or builder mindset over this time?
Yeah, for us, so we're building a network for AI inference. So we're trying to be the supply side of this AI agent economy. And AI agents that have a meme coin are cool, but AI agents that have jobs are much more interesting to us. We're more interested in agents that can be your community manager, could perhaps run your hackathons, could be posting on social media, could be content writing, could be doing internal communications, because those put out a lot of throughputs, a lot of AI token requests. And so for us, that's where we see a more robust agentic economy. And recently we've had great innovations in both open source and centralized AI with MCP and with A2A from Google, which are enabling agents to actually deploy servers for tool calling. So now you can have agents talking to each other and doing tasks a bit more autonomously. And I think there's much more to be done. We're interested in agents that are composable across internet frameworks, but also can do all the intents that a blockchain can do, anything a wallet can do. We want agents to be able to do, inherent identities, borrow in DeFi, do all kinds of, financial management of payments in an automated fashion, voting, delegation. And so we're just excited to see agents actually have use.
What about you, Leemon? Are you seeing an actual migration towards utility?
Absolutely. So AI has a lot of hype. There's always hype that isn't real because a real thing underneath it. And AI really is changing the world right now. So yes, you can start with agents that do meme coins. And it goes far beyond that. So there's all of these use cases for AI. And the biggest problem right now, like the ones you just mentioned, the biggest problem right now is how do I build an agent? How do I build software that will use these agents? How do I build this ecosystem? And so we have, at Hedera, we have the AI Studio, which we've released. And so it's SDKs that are all open source, and it's tools to help you do this, and it integrates with Eliza OS. We have an MCP server. We have all the pieces that you need to be able to do this. And so it can do things like create a meme coin, but it could also do real-world asset tokenization. You can trade assets. You could be calling smart contracts. You could be doing things. You could be managing DAOs. You could be doing voting. Anything that you wanted to build with AIs, it could be building that with just natural language interfaces. And it even will enable you to build AIs where the keys that allow the AI to reach out and do things on the blockchain are not in the AI, they're in a traditional layer between the AI and the user, so that right before the AI decides, I'm going to go spend $1 million, it has to create a transaction, show it to the user in a piece of code that is not AI, and have the user click OK. Okay, so you don't have to do that, but we make it easy to do that kind of thing, because this enormous promise of AI comes with enormous peril as well. And so we need to work together. Everyone needs to be working together to reach the good outcome future that we're envisioning, not the bad outcome.
Absolutely.
Let's do that.
Hey, Michael, you've made a big investment into the idea of decentralized AI. So it's clear that you think it's going somewhere. Can you tell us, what's your view of the transition from meme coins to actual utility?
Yeah, it's no surprise to me that it started at the Memecoin level, and a lot of it started with GOAT all-in. I don't know if anybody in the audience still remembers that, but very much makes sense because the key infrastructure to even catch up with the hyperscalers on the centralized AI side is going to take at least another 2 years before we fully catch up. So just to give you an example, in order to even say who owns this particular AI agent, we had to create a new NFT standard called the INFT standard, ERC 7857, in order to say, okay, well, if you have an NFT in your wallet and that NFT has a private keys of the agent embedded into them, then yes, now I can claim that this agent belongs to me, and when that agent does economic activity, it actually accrues to me. So even these kind of primitive things, and I don't want to call them primitive just as a kind of key concept, needed to be recreated so that the infrastructure is ready to even handle some of these use cases. Now that some of it is starting to be built and available, we have more than 300 companies building on top of our chain, and we're starting to see quite a few really interesting utility use cases. For example, one type of decentralized AI agent is doing portfolio management for you. You basically say, here's my risk specifications, here's how much I want to invest. Okay, this agent then does everything for you. Or an on-chain credit score that basically utilizes a lot of AI to figure out how risky is your behavior on-chain, and then based on that gives you under-collateralized loans, for example. Or a DEX that's using AI to rebalance the automated market maker LP pools, for example. So we're starting to see quite a lot of utility, and we firmly believe the future of AI is utility.
Great. Right, these are some interesting points of view. I'm going to throw a difficult question into the mix here. Do we really need decentralization? I mean, AI is moving forward, right? It's taking over the world. We know that. Blockchain, is it necessary for a good outcome for AI? Or are we just trying to fit together two technologies that are innovative? And Leemon, I see your
I love the question.
See that.
Go for it.
Then this is such a great question. Every time someone's going to build on Hedera, my first question to them is, do you really need a blockchain? Can you just use a database? What do you really need? Is a digital signature enough for you? And the answer is yes, AI does need decentralization. And here's what the problem is. AI right now can do good or bad things. It can lie, it can be racist, it can be biased in various ways. It can be trained with IP that is infringing on someone else's IP rights. It can be infringing on privacy. How do we avoid that and still get all the benefits of AI? And what you have to look at is the provenance of the data. Where did the data come from that trained this AI? And so you want to be able to say, here's the data, here's the model that came from the data. But how do you know that this data was used to make this model? So what we have are companies like Equity Lab. Equity Lab is working on Hedera, and what they do is they have a deal with Intel and NVIDIA. So they announced this. Intel and NVIDIA are working with Equity Lab, and the three of them are working together so that the chip itself that is doing the trading, that is ingesting this data, it's spitting out a model, can digitally slide it and say, yes, I attest, I created this model from this data. Great. So now we have signatures, can record those immutably forever, so you know what date it happened. But it isn't just that. You will often use data to create a model, and then you use more data to create another model, and then you use maybe two models and you distill them into a single model and use more data to train that. You end up this whole tree of your history. Your provenance is very complicated. It's not just one data set. And so they can track the entire tree, and they can track the version control of all this tree, so that when you suddenly discover, oh no, the model I built my company on, he's infringing on IP and I can't use it anymore, you know exactly how far back to roll back. And so blockchain, Hedera is used, any ledger, but Hedera is doing this so that you can track immutably the entire history, including permissioning. Did the users say, yes, you may use my data? And did the users on a certain date say, no, you must stop using my data? We have this immutable record you can never change that, yes, from this date to this date, we had permission. So things we did during that period were legal, but you can't do it after that date. All of this, you need decentralization for. So yes, decentralization is critical to getting to that future that is not the matrix,
Right.
but is what we want.
Yeah, the immutability is a very good point. Matt, finish with Michael.
Super light. I think what we have at stake here is massive. I think for us, we're using AI on a daily basis, whether it's Grok, Perplexity, ChatGPT. We're syncing all of our data into these systems, and we don't know what they're doing with this data on the back end, but also we're getting locked in. And essentially, just like Web 2 always does, at some point, they're going to need to produce more revenue. Right now, they're spending about $7 billion a year in inference. They're facing a massive deficit. They're like OpenAI, for example, is spending $175 million a day on AI inference. And at some point, how do you make money? How do you make this sustainable? And we're going to end up becoming the product, whether it's advertisements, whether it's increasing platform fees, 20 to 30% margins, just as Apple or Google does it. And so what happens if you're a business or you're a country that's been using these systems and are no longer able to take your data with you? unless you pay the toll, it's quite a scary thing. And so for us, we think trust is the biggest thing that we need for a blockchain. In those systems, we trust those big names. We use their infrastructure. We're okay with accessing their APIs and going through our KYC to permission that to our applications. But we want to live in a world where you can use tools that work for your developer environment or for your use case, for your data. And so Gaia, we enable you to take an open source large language model, our open source infrastructure. You don't need a blockchain, and you can go and build your own AI inference, your own agent services. And then what we're doing with the blockchain is, well, if you have these internet of nodes of vectorized LLM trained data, how do you know that that is going to provide you the right outputs? You need to borrow the trust in the blockchain with proof of stake economics, so that users can know with certainty that those nodes are providing the right information. Whereas on the other side of things, in Web 2, we trust this large centralized organization. In the future, we see it's trusting a decentralized network of community stakers.
Okay, so we've got immutability, we've got trust. Michael, what do you think?
Super aligned with what everybody is saying. It's unequivocally a yes. We need decentralization in AI. In fact, I'll take it one step further to say that there's no future in AI without the use of blockchains. Because OpenAI, ironically, is closed AI. You don't know where the data came from, who labeled the data, what version of the model you're getting, how the censorship decisions were being made. Any of that is completely opaque. You're trusting OpenAI for it. Now, if you think about a spectrum of applications, so let's say you've got individual applications and you have societal level applications. Individual applications like order a pizza for me, book this thing for Valentine's Day, etc. I probably don't need to trust too much. It's not a mission critical thing. I'm happy to give that agent $100 to do that for me. But then imagine you have agents starting to run airports, logistics systems, manufacturing systems. Wouldn't you want to know what goes underneath those agents and models? Wouldn't you want to know that those agents and models can't cheat? Wouldn't you want to know if there was any breaches that happened? Because if you have a lot of humanoid robots running around, somebody breaches the system, all of a sudden you have an army at your disposal. Who's keeping those agents honest and cheat-free? How do we do this type of AI alignment? Those are all questions that decentralized AI has an answer for. Because we have provenance, we have verifiability, we have immutability. We have all these properties, provenance, we have all these properties to basically keep AI cheat-free. You can even use token economic slashing conditions, incentive conditions, and then consistently check if there's been a data poisoning attack that happened. So there's a lot that's at stake, and that's why we're super excited about making AI a public good, so that we can live in a future where big societal level systems can be run by AI and be completely aligned with human interests.
Amazing vision in the future. And the question was a little bit disingenuous of me, because at Secret Network, we're also building AI infrastructure so that we could have privacy and confidentiality and decentralization on chain. But that brings up another point, which is privacy and governance. As AI agents, you've alluded to it a little bit, Michael, but as AI agents become more autonomous, how do we ensure that privacy and data integrity and control are maintained, especially in decentralized environments? And then to add on to that, if you want to comment on what role should communities play in the governance of AI?
Yeah, for us, we believe in again in open source. So enabling anyone to build their own AI agent inference enables them to actually think about how they want to handle trust, privacy, permissioning, or governance. And each of our nodes has smart contract address, so they are technically agents and they can be governed. And so we are working on how we can have these agents over time be managed by communities. We think that with zero knowledge proofs, we're able to do a lot of the validation of this inference and prove that we can actually see what the outputs are, what the responses are properly, without knowing all the data. And so that's been a big exploration for a lot of AI difference projects in the space. But there's a lot of ways to slice trust and privacy.
David?
Community is critical here. People talk about needing values alignment. We want our AI to align with good values. Great. But what are good values? Don't we all have different values? What we don't want is the one uber AI that aligns with the true values. What we want is to have AIs that align with all the different value sets that people have. We need a variety of AIs. This is why open source is so nice. But we need lots of them so that you can get what aligns with what you need to do, rather than having one person at Facebook decide what is the true values of humanity. This is what we need to be going to. So it means we need immunity, we need governance. AI governance is incredibly important. And then I talked about you need to get permissioning from people, and it should be sort of like medical trials where people give their permission, they can take it back. You know what? If you're getting permission for lots of people who just say, you can use my tweets, or you can't use my tweets. So not the owner of a gigantic data set, but just the individual people with individual things. We might want to have royalties flowing back to them. And you asked why blockchain? Well, again, blockchains, DLTs, these ledgers can keep track of that sort of thing and make micropayments. And so we could even see a future where you have communities where each individual is allowing their data to be used for training, and then royalties flow back to them automatically. This is the kind of thing we can do. So yes, decentralization of the infrastructure is important. Decentralization of the humans involved is also important. And we can do both.
Yeah. 100% agree. Yeah, I think we're very much aligned on this panel. I'll just comment a little bit more on this AI alignment point. Essentially, we think the answer over time is that we need some type of AI alignment node that's consistently checking for various nefarious activities. One of those is we recently wrote a paper where we actually found a backdoor attack in state-of-the-art centralized federated learning, where basically you're training a model together based off of private data sets that individuals have, but they don't want to share. And what we've been able to accomplish, even with the most sophisticated security techniques available, is to find a backdoor attack to inject coercive data so that the end model is completely biased. And when the model is completely biased, just to kind of put that into perspective, if we again run these systems as societal level applications, that could be the difference between an airplane crashing into one another versus not. So we need to make sure that this AI alignment happens on every part of the stage, pre-training, in production, as people are using it. Also, model drift may happen over time. So we need some type of AI alignment node to actually check for that consistently so that we can quickly shut off misbehaving agents or misbehaving models and replace them in versions that are significantly better. So this AI alignment piece is absolutely crucial.
Thank you. And Michael, why don't you continue? Let's make it real. It has been novelty, right? Meme coins are novelty. That's the whole value of it. It's like, wow, something cool is you. Very big, a flash and pan and gone very quickly. What is happening? You mentioned airplanes not crashing. What's happening in the real world today? It is actually today working, not just aspirational about what might happen in the future. Let's talk about what has been implemented today in the world for AI agents in real world use cases.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to kind of answer the Memecoin question a little bit too, there's always going to be speculation. The thing is just human beings have grown up with speculation. So just in crypto, the pendulum's swung too far to speculation and away from culture and actual utility. And now I think it's coming back because there's actual use cases that can be built with the AI agent or even AI models. And just to address a few, so in Web2 AI, what you can do today already is to have a medical agent that's basically doing medical coding for you, that's submitting insurance paperwork for you, that's taking notes for you as your doctor and kind of making diagnoses and so on, even doing full-on diagnoses for you. In Web3 AI, we're a little bit behind that, but we're catching up pretty quickly too, as I've started to see, for example, biohacking agents that are built fully on chain that are doing, for example, decentralized science applications. I've already mentioned some other ones around portfolio management. An agent today can basically figure out, hey, there's like 200 different L2s. I'm going to figure out which one has the highest yield, and I'm going to deploy there, and then redeploy once the yield kind of dries out. So you have these type of DeFi financial trading agents already. No surprise, I mean, blockchains very much is about financialization. So a lot of utility will go there first, and then we'll start seeing some catching up with kind of Web2 AI on things like medical type of perspectives, social type of perspectives, and then actual use cases like humanoid robots running around, getting our groceries for us, taking care of our children, teaching our children. Eventually, that's all going to happen. And Web3 AI needs to catch up very quickly with Web2 AI.
Thank you. Leemon and Nat, what do you see happening in the world today?
I'll be quick so we can give you an action plan. For us, what's been really cool, with my background running various hackathons and accelerator programs over my career and investments, the velocity of capital in crypto is huge. And so with agents, what we were able to do last October, we ran a hackathon ran by AI agents. We had an agent taking in the submissions from the builders. We had an agent that was judging the projects, and we had an agent that distributed $50,000 on chain in about 6 seconds. We knew which addresses to send to. Now imagine if you could do that for investment funds, for all these Web3 foundations and have grant pools, a bunch of bounty, allocations that we have in developer communities. You basically could have a developer flywheel in your project ecosystem that works 24/7. If you don't need to, wait 3 months to run a hackathon, you can actually just do that and have it running and distributing capital to people building out your ecosystem. So I'm interested in that flywheel.
All of these, in addition, low-hanging fruit, writing code. Having the agent helping you write your code, having an agent that looks at code and looks for bugs, having an agent that gives you advice on how this API even works, high level, all of these things. We have actually released models that will tell you things about Hedera, programming for Hedera, and how to do it, and help write the code for you. But guess what? This is the ideal attack vector if somebody wants to put malicious things into your code. We have got to have the security. And how do we do that? All the stuff we've been talking about on this stage. All the stuff about provenance, about permissioning, about how you give the proof of the chip itself, building the model, proving that it was that, having the whole tree of what happened in the past. All of these things are what we critically need in order to have security in these agents that are going out doing things with real money or writing real code that could destroy everything. That's what we're doing. And this is great.
That is so true. That is where people are using it right now. And I want to spend all my weekends learning vibe code and cursor and
Everybody what to build using on my track.
yeah, a mixed bag, right? Have strong opinions about what tools to use. All right, to finish up, Michael, you kind of alluded to it a little bit, but what do we think is going to happen in the next 12 to 18 months? Any breakthroughs or milestones that will be a signal that AI agents have truly grown up? Finish up.
Yeah, so I'll talk about open source LLMs. Again, we had 400,000 available models last August. Now we have 1.6 million models that are out there at open source. They all have different benchmarks and different utilities. But the cost to develop these LLMs is halving every 4 months now, according to A6TZ in Stanford. But what that means for us is if that's radically accelerating, then everyone, including companies, creators, individuals, will start to have their own large language models. And what was once billions of dollars to research and develop and sustain these models is now costing millions of dollars. It will eventually be hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, and cheaper. And so we're excited to see this massive internet with LLM-enabled applications that just scaling like crazies.
Exciting stuff.
Success is when the average person is using this in their daily life. We are very close to that. Many, many people use this in their daily life. That's what we're getting to. The other form of success is the rise of these humanoid robots. And they're then taking over all kinds of different tasks that are dangerous and hard for us to do. We don't have time to talk about it, but I think that the impact of them is going to be bigger than we are anticipating. And LLMs will be part of that, AIs will be part of that, and I think that we're going to say all this stuff we talked about for provenance is part of that.
Amazing. Thank you. Michael, fun.
+1 on robotics, definitely very excited about the field. But also from just pure kind of catching up to Web2 AI perspective, what's not possible today is to say, here's a 500 billion parameter model that I want to train across a globally distributed set of consumer GPUs. Very, very hard research problem. And in 18 months, I would love to see that being cracked so that we can all build our own LLMs that are community owned and also fully make AI a public good.
Thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate your insights, and it's been a great conversation. Thank you for listening to us, and on to the next.
Thank you.